Hello, everyone. So it's been quite some time since I actually recorded a video, and there are several reasons for that. One of them is just being busy, and with life and children and work and airports and hotels with work, stuff like that. But also, I've had some health issues that I've had to deal with, and in one of these videos, I'm going to talk about those things because I think to go along with my last video talking about taking care of self and making sure that you're okay is really important. I actually experienced what's called a TIA, or a transient ischemic attack, which is what most people will find on the internet to be a mini stroke, which is very scary. Because a lot of people think that it's really a setup for something that's going to happen bigger at a later date. And my family and I have had to deal with that scare and to figure out sort of how we move forward from there. But today, what I did want to talk about is something that I've been wanting to talk about for some time, because I, outside of being an OBGYN, also serve other roles. Today, I happen to be in one of my favorite spaces, and this is my Michigan home, which I enjoy because I get a chance to be out of the fray of the city, and I get a chance to enjoy my family, my, very algae sort of ridden pond in the back, and just enjoy and do my little barbecuing, all of that stuff. So it's great. It's a great time. It's also a time for me to be able to sit down, take time with my family, reflect, and just take a moment for myself, not do anything, not, have to deal with airports, airplanes, and hotels. I can sleep in my own bed and spend time with my children and just enjoy them. But one thing, again, going back to what I wanted to discuss today, was alcohol use and sex, right? One of the other jobs that I do outside of being an OBGYN is working with a company called Monument, where we discuss with patients their relationship with alcohol and trying to figure out how that relationship can be a better relationship, or whether or not they just cannot have a relationship with alcohol at all. And that is something that some people really have to grapple with and decide. And a lot of people have had issues with alcohol over the course of the pandemic, when we found ourselves just cooped up in a house, being bored, not having the joy of being able to, interact with others and interact with family, and the fears. And there's a lot of, there was a lot of fear. There are a lot of fears still with COVID and the pandemic, that continues to be an ongoing thing. I think that alcohol for many people really became a coping mechanism, and one that some people realized was not where they really wanted to be with their alcohol use. So my role with Monument is one where I talk about that and talk about people's relationship with alcohol and how they can make that relationship different depending on where they want that relationship to go. With sex, one thing that people don't realize is that alcohol plays a very big role in that. It plays a very big role in how people, climax. It plays a very big role in attraction. It plays a very big role in not being attracted to someone. There are a lot of women that come into my office and say to me, Dr. Rush, I really don't feel comfortable talking to a new partner about sex, because a lot of times alcohol is involved and it's just sort of a spur of the moment thing. And that can be good in terms of the spontaneity, but it could also be dangerous. And so that's the reason why, amongst others, that I decided that I was going to play this role with Monument and helping people in that respect. Alcohol can be a really detrimental thing in relationships. It can be a detrimental thing in sexual relationships. There are a lot of people who when they do drink alcohol, somehow that brings on a sense of attraction, but sometimes it can be not a good attraction, and they don't make very great decisions with these attractions, the one night stands, different things like that. Not only that is, people and their needs sexually, they don't communicate those as well as they would otherwise, and that can be a problem in relationships on a later date when that person is looking for that communication to happen about what it is they want, what it is they desire, what it is they need in a relationship in general, and also sexually. The other thing is some people find it very hard to climax when they've had too much alcohol. And so that does something to their partner sometimes when they don't feel like they're satisfying that person, because the alcohol has taken over. It numbs them, and it numbs people on other levels, mentally, physically, where they don't necessarily want to think about things. They don't necessarily want to feel things. There are feelings and emotions that they're trying to drown out, situations that they use alcohol to drown out. It is a coping mechanism. It's a medication for mental health conditions and so many other things. But when it comes to sex, it's one thing that we have to understand is when you take alcohol out of the equation, it also has an effect, because when alcohol is used chronically, it does something to the brain chemically. All of the neurotransmitters that your brain typically uses are altered in a way that's not the greatest. And when alcohol is taken out of the picture, your body has to go back to a sense of normalcy that may not necessarily feel all that great to the body. And so then people start to feel like, oh my God, I don't have a sexual desire for my wife or my girlfriend or my boyfriend or my husband or my partner or whatever the case may be. And then it seems like there's a decrease in libido. Well, there could very well be a decrease in libido because the alcohol is no longer in the picture. Interestingly enough, when alcohol is used, initially it brings a very big boost in a lot of those neurotransmitters. But the reality is, with chronic use, those neurotransmitters over time are decreased significantly. And so when the body no longer sees the boost from the alcohol in terms of ramping up those neurotransmitters, it then on an everyday basis just see a complete decrease in those neurotransmitters, which is why there's an issue with people just experiencing depression with alcohol use, or people experiencing anxiety after they're coming down off of alcohol. There's quite a bit that goes on with the body with alcohol use in general. And so that's why it's always great to make sure to use alcohol responsibly. And that's easier said than done for many of us. But it's something that with Monument, I've been able to help people to work with. It becomes a big issue, especially in relationships when it comes to the sex concern, because it really makes the partner think, oh my God, what happened? I had this, spontaneous person that was able to have sex with me at any point in time. We had a great time. I didn't like the other things that alcohol did for them or did to them, but I did enjoy them sexually. But then when the alcohol is gone, it's almost this issue of, oh my God, now the alcohol is not in the picture. What do we do? And that is where I come in terms of having those conversations, and not just as an OBGYN, but somebody who can speak to the process of decreasing alcohol use or abstaining completely from alcohol use. I was going to do a segment with Monument, and unfortunately, because of work and planes and delays, I didn't get a chance to do that. And I know that at some point in time, you all will see me on their platform being able to speak to this a little bit. I do have several articles out there on Monument's platform, and it's joinmonument.com, where you can read some of these things, but also talking about the gifts of sobriety, the things, that decrease or eliminating alcohol in your life, depending on where you are with this process, can really do for you. And of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to eliminate alcohol from your life. It just simply means that your relationship with it may need to be better. So The other thing about this is really just understanding self, understanding what things are driving you to the coping mechanisms that are not as healthy. Trying to figure out what needs to be done as far as other coping mechanisms, changes in behavior, changes in mindset, changes in associations that are necessary for you to be successful with even your alcohol process, but not just that, in life in general. Making sure that you're able to understand who you are, what you're about, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, are all things that lead to not only wonderful mental health, but also physical health. Mental health and physical health are intertwined. It really does exist that way. And I myself have to often explain that to me, because I cannot be any better for others than I am to myself. So I really hope that this was helpful to some people in some way. I know this is not my typical segment and sort of the things that I talk about. And I will talk a little bit about and put some words to my health concerns, because I think that as a woman in her 40s, many of us experience these things. We still have young children, some of us. Some of us have grown children. I am one that has grown children and young children all the same. And so having that large age difference of 22 to 2 makes it such that my life is very dynamic, but I know that there are so many other women out there that are like me. And I realize that even if we don't have those big age differences and we have children in general and families, we are very dynamic creatures as women. We play several roles. And it's really important that we understand what those roles are, or how those roles intertwine with our own self-concept, self-being, self-love, and self-awareness. So again, coming to you from my wonderful, beautiful home with my algae pond in Michigan. This is Dr. Rush, and I hope, guys, that this was very helpful. And hopefully the next segment will be something that's even more helpful to help people understand the necessity of self-time, self-love, and just focus on you, life, self. All right, guys, you guys take care. Bye.